Hey, this is Amber from Epic Self, and I'm live here at Greenfest Chicago with the gorgeous Karyn Calabrese.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. She's an award-winning restaurateur and here in Chicago, and an author in primarily raw foods and vegan foods. I'm so elated to be here. She is definitely an idol of mine. She's also a dancer, I learned today, and loves yoga and Pilates. So we're really kind of on the same paths. Anyway, so we have lots of questions for you, Karyn. Thank you for being with us.
I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for inviting me. The reason I made a change to a plant-based diet, first of all, I didn't just wake up one morning and become a raw food vegan. It has been a journey for me. But it started because all the women in my family died overweight and very young. People like to look at me and go, oh, it's her gene pool that I'm not aging at the rate other people are, or, oh, she's a woman of color, they don't age at the same rate. But the reality is, my mom died at 48, my grandmother died at 50, and my great-grandmother died at 60. So at 65, I broke the chain. And it was through my plant-based diet and cleansing and detoxing. I've been a plant-based diet for 43 years. I have no meat, fish, chicken, or dairy. I don't drink, smoke, or do drugs. I pray and meditate every day of my life, and I detox my body a minimum of 4 times a year. So you might say, well, if you eat this way and live this way, why would you need to detox? Well, I'm driving behind buses. I don't want to live in a bubble. I go out to other restaurants that I know aren't organic. I get my clothes dry cleaned. I know there's a greener cleaners, but my husband takes the cleaning in. I'm not doing it right now, so I'm taking in chemicals through my skin. And it's this chemicalization of our bodies that's really killing us. We're just living in such a toxic, chemicalized world. So for me, detoxing and breaking down those layers of toxicity, I mean, I know a lot of raw foodists that don't look as healthy as me. I know a lot of vegans that don't look as healthy as me, at 65 years old especially. So I believe that it's because I take the time 4 times a year to break down those layers of toxicity. We'd like to think that we live off of chunks of food, but the reality is we live off of the gases from the liquids. So breaking down those toxic gases in our bodies is what's important to me for long life, joy, and purposeful life. The first restaurant wasn't an actual restaurant. I started growing wheatgrass and making sprout salads in a greenhouse in Evanston. And people thought I was absolutely out of my mind talking about raw foods in Chicago. And I used to teach people, and I had what I call support group meetings in my home. I didn't call them raw, I didn't call them vegan, I just had alternative thinking support groups. And people would come from all over, and then different people would say, well, Karyn, would you make some of that for me? Would you make some of that for me? And all these people started asking me to make food. Well, I've never worked in a restaurant. I never went to chef school, and all of a sudden I'm making food for all of these people, and I opened up my first restaurant. I always say God takes care of fools and children, and I'm not a child. So here I am, the longest standing raw food restaurant in the country. After running that restaurant for about 15, maybe 18 years, I realized, because I would do free information seminars, that people needed a bridge. They weren't ready to go from their McDonald's and steak and French fries to raw foods. And I realized that I had a bridge on my journey, so I opened up my first cooked vegan restaurant, Karyns Cooked. And I thought, how are you going to get people to come? They need food that feels comfortable, so I call it conscious comfort food. And I opened up Karyns Cooked, where we have beans, greens, cornbread and rice, ribs, all of my great-grandmother's recipes, and more. And after that went for about 8-9 years, I decided that I wanted to add another component to this whole vegan eating experience, and I opened up Karyns on Green, which there's no way you'd know it was a vegan restaurant when you went in. It's so sexy and it's so beautiful. My tagline is, I'm taking veganism and making it sexy. So that's Karyns on Green, making vegan sexy. And it's really, they're nice bridges for people wherever they are to help them make the choice to change to a plant-based diet. I have 2 restaurants at one location. One is a all-you-can-eat buffet, takeout, juice bar, and then I have a fine dining raw food restaurant also. So yeah, in reality, I have 4 restaurants, a wellness center, a school, I have a cooking school, I have books. It's my world. The 3 ingredients to a plant-based diet, I think being joyful, doing it joyfully, finding ways, everybody's worried about soy. Soy isn't so good for you. But if you like soy ice cream and soy products, that's a great bridge for you to transfer. So I think being joyful about your choices, I think being gentle in your choices, and I also believe doing a strong detoxification program, because it's all that toxicity that we build up over a lifetime that actually leads us to our choices. So when you break down those choices, it's not like, oh, I'm never going to eat this again. You just don't want it. So I think a good detoxification program with education, finding a joyful journey for yourself, and you know what, not being judgmental either for yourself or others. Cooked foods, animal foods are extremely acidic to the body. The acid is what's literally eating the body up inside out. So finding that pH balance of acid alkaline, getting in raw living foods, because God created us as living beings. We have living cells, and you need living food to sustain it. Like begets like. Dead food, you look and feel dead. Live food, and you look and feel alive. Yes, it would be wonderful if everybody was 100%, but even going 70-30 or 80-20, but most people are 10% raw and maybe 90% cooked. So it's, I think, finding that basis of getting back to living raw foods for a living body, your spiritual practice, whatever it may be, and some form of joyful movement.